Using a foam roller is a cheap and easy way to do self-massage, keeping your legs fresh and ready for your next training session. And the best part about it, you can take it with you anywhere you go. But if you are worried that you haven't quite got room in your bag to fit this, then you could also use something like a spiky ball or similar, and it will do the same job. But before we get started, just a little warning. If you do these exercises properly, they can be a bit uncomfortable on the foam roller, but on the plus side, you will get a benefit in the long term. We're going to work from the bottom to the top, so that means we're going to start with our calf muscles. And you've probably noticed I've swapped for a different foam roller. Now this one is slightly softer and more forgiving, and that's because for me, my calves are quite tight and quite sensitive. So go with what you need. And from this position, take the weight into your hands so you can lift up, and then you can roll just nice and slowly with your calf muscles moving over the top of the foam roller. And you want to try and get the full length of the muscle right up till just beneath your knees, and then very gradually roll back again. And then if you find this isn't quite enough pressure, you can always put one leg on top of the other, and then you're just working the muscle of the bottom leg and roll over that way. But for me, my calves are so tight, that's actually a little bit too much, so I'm just going to stick with doing both legs at once. Moving on up the body and staying in a supine position, so on your back, we're going to go to hamstrings next. So basically from just above your knee up to your bottom. And this time I'm opting to do one leg at a time, so it's not quite as much pressure. I'm going to start just behind my knee and then take the weight onto the foam roller, rolling all the way up and then slowly back down. Now again, if you wanted to add the pressure, you could do as I showed with the calves and put one leg on top of the other, or you could do it with both legs at once if you've got a wider foam roller. Well, now it's time to move onto your front into the prone position, because we're going to be working on your quadricep muscles, basically the front of your thighs, so from just above your knee to your hip. And I personally find this exercise easier to do with both legs at once. It's just a slightly easier position to find. So from here, you're just going to lie over the top of the foam roller. Again, taking the weight in your hands, and you're going to roll your body from your hips down to your knees, and then back again, nice and gently. And you might need a slightly wider foam roller for this to fit both legs on. Well, we're going to stay on your front, just moving up from the quads onto the hip flexors. Now, any triathlete will know from lots of cycling, your hip flexors are pretty prone to getting tight. So this foam roller exercise is great. As you can see, I've opted for the softer foam roller again, mainly because my hip flexors are really tight and I do find this a bit uncomfortable. I'm going to do one leg at a time so I can just make it more specific and find the right area where I really need to work. So I'll have the weight on my other leg, and I'll pop the foam roller just at the top of my quads, and then from here I'm going to roll over it, over and back until I find the area. I'm just going to twist my hips until I find the bit that's really tight. There's a tight bit just there, and then work on those sections when you find them. Well, now we're going to flip over and we're going to work our bottom muscles, our glutes. For this, it's a smaller muscle, so you're not going to be moving as far, and it does mean you can find the odd trigger points. If you've got an area that's a little bit tighter or sorer than others, you can spend a bit more time working specifically on that. So basically, you just need to lie your bottom onto the foam roller. And now, I personally do one buttock at a time, because it's a little bit easier to find the right area and pinpoint it exactly. So just start off by rolling over and back. Maybe once you've found a tight area, you can add in a stretch to this exercise by popping your leg or your heel over on top of your knee, and that just adds a stretch into your glute, and you can get into even tighter areas. Finally, we're going to move down to our feet. So you need to take your shoes off, and we're working on the plantar fascia. So basically the bit in the arch of your foot. And you can either use a spiky ball or golf ball or something similar. For this exercise, I personally like to use the golf ball, just the size works well for my feet. And all you're going to do is pop it on the ground and then pop your foot on top and roll it around until you find the areas just feel a little bit tight. You can do it in sitting, so you've got a bit more control, but if you want more weight over your foot, then try standing up. And this is a great exercise, especially if you're doing a lot of running. If you're new to using a foam roller, it might feel a little bit uncomfortable at first, but the key is finding the areas that are tight for you and working on those. That way you'll feel the most benefit. And if you've enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, and to subscribe to GTN, just click on the globe. And if you want to watch a video on how to deal with being injured as a triathlete, just click down here. And if you want some ideas on how to exercise with a TheraBand or a physio band,